Wow, in this tough economy, this guy's really hanging on in there. And as the mayor said, New York City has its brand. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukadowski here. We are Change.org, and we have a very special video today as we are going to be going over the top 10 most censored news stories of 2022. A lot of very important things that we need to get into that a lot of powerful people want you to forget about. We have a lot of important things, issues, and stories to get into that a lot of powerful people want you to forget. And that's why we're going to be making this video and getting into a lot more. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. We just released this one a couple days ago. It's pretty interesting. There's even a bigger interesting backstory to this, but just getting right into the video, the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast of this very New York-esque moment was originally released by Joel Fisher at Real Joel Fisher on Twitter. If he has a YouTube channel, we of course will be linking that for full credit down in the description below, as this perfectly highlights the levels of insanity that people have to endure when they live in places like New York City. Well, at least it's not as bad as Sri Lanka just yet, as of course number 10 on our top 10 censored stories of 2022 is the economic destruction of Sri Lanka by the World Economic Forum. This, as many bloodthirsty, big money internationalists flooded Sri Lanka because they had economic problems. They gave them a bunch of loans that they never could pay back. They took a bunch of their resources and implemented a whole bunch of World Economic Forum policies that absolutely destroyed the country. Sri Lanka scored a 98.1 out of 100 when it came to the World Economic Forum, giving them a score of their compliance with the policies that they of course pushed forward, which got rid of fertilizers, hurt domestic energy availability, while promoting gender and race equity causes, as I think it's fair to say that the Great Reset had its first victim. That victim was of course Sri Lanka. There was a total collapse in that country and its infrastructure to even be able to run and operate. This, as the World Economic Forum later on then deleted their articles talking about how absolutely great they were doing because they were complying with every one of their wishes. But don't worry, the internet never forgets, even though the corporate media desperately wants you to. And this is why Sri Lanka is number 10 on our list, as our number 9 story comes from Ukraine, another official partner of the World Economic Forum, where there are a large number of advanced US tech weaponry being found on the black market. All of this, as many countries, including the United States, have essentially given a lot of weapons, a lot of lethal aid, a lot of advanced military technology to Ukraine with no ability to trace them or have accountability to where they end up. You add that to the fact that Ukraine is known for having a lot of corrupted bureaucrats and politicians. This, as many people, including U.S. Senator Rand Paul, have been asking questions and demanding that we should at least know where everything is going to, which of course fell on deaf ears, as even CBS News did a news program where they talked to locals on the ground in Ukraine who told them that likely 30% of all U.S. military aid for Ukraine never reaches the front line. CBS News then, very interestingly, deleted their news segment talking to people on the ground about this happening, and now this is being called a conspiracy theory, but in reality, this is a perfect dream situation for larger unaccountable institutions like the Central Intelligence Agency that, of course, now with surface-to-air missiles inside of Europe, most likely ending up in the hands of some very bad people, creates the perfect problem for them to have more government tax dollars in order to intervene to stop. This is why this is our top 9 story. Our top 8 story is, of course, the totalitarian takeover of Canada. As, of course, the government there has implemented a lot of draconian things in the name of public health, like shutting down people's churches, people's businesses, while allowing big corporations to have their business open. This, as, of course, protests that politically aligned with the administration were allowed, but if you protested something the government didn't like, it had a very heavy-hand approach towards obliterating and destroying it which leads us, of course, to the Canadian trucker protests. That was a response to the draconian moves made by the Canadian government, which responded to the protest by becoming more draconian. This as the Prime Minister there, Justin Trudeau, declared a national state of emergency, mainly because people had bouncy castles and decided to celebrate and party during a protest, which he simply didn't like. During his state of emergency, he not only destroyed people's ability to have free speech, but also implemented a totalitarian Chinese social credit score-like system that punished people for arbitrarily donating to the trucker protests by having their bank accounts taken away from them by the state. Cryptocurrency and Bitcoin transactions were also stopped by major financial institutions that were told by the government to do so. This as the protest leaders had their homes raided and arrested in the middle of the night, taken away by the government, as the Prime Minister was even talking about bringing in the military, as already he had his de facto martial law set in place. As we found out just recently, that it was the President of the United States and the U.S. government that was pressuring him to do this when it came to launching a total suppression campaign of people peacefully coming together and protesting the government. All of this as the Canadian government is now restricting more and more rights away from its citizenry, recently also taking away their ability for law-abiding citizens to be able to defend themselves with firearms, and Canada becoming fully draconian is our top 8 story. Number 7 is related to, of course, a government that Justin Trudeau publicly sees dear to his heart and publicly has complimented, and that, of course, is the zero sickness policy in China, which by and large, in some extent, was covered by some corporate media outlets, but many people forgot to mention that these insane, draconian, evil policies that were instituted in China were instituted with the applause, support, and help of many Western leaders and internationalists that, of course, were cheering it on as the perfect example of what the world should have been doing. All of this as poor animals were beaten in the middle of the street, people were locked in their own homes, fires were started in apartments where people could have never fled from because of their apartment doors being welded in by government officials. People were beat in the streets, taken away to camps, disappeared, and forced to live through utter hell during a zero sickness policies that individuals like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab publicly applauded as what the rest of the world should be doing. And this is why China's zero sickness policy is number 7 on our list. Number 6 is related to, of course, a businessman in China that has a lot of private dealings there that have greatly benefited him because of his connection with the President of the United States. And that, of course, is the Hunter Biden scandal that made finally some significant headways 2 years after the corporate media tried to suppress it. And this is why the Hunter Biden scandal is number 6 on our list, as story after story finally came and confirmed what we knew years ago, since of course there was a massive censorship effort by big tech social media and the corporate media to keep a lot of the horrible, depraved, illegal, and very nasty behavior of Hunter Biden from making it to the public airwaves. This, as of course social media was inundated with photo after photo of a lot of shocking content of the son of the President of the United States, which the dam finally broke on when it came to the corporate media finally acknowledging it, that it was real. And one of the reasons that it was real leads us to our number 5 top censored stories of 2022, and that, of course, is the Twitter files. This, as of course, the files that were finally released by Elon Musk that bought Twitter this year in 2022, showed us what a lot of people knew, but we finally now had the evidence. We had the receipts. We had the conversations that happened behind closed door in secret that led essentially to the trampling and destruction of political speech in our society, as Twitter file after Twitter file showed us directly how the government was pulling the strings and behind the scenes controlling our political speech and narrative, destroying news stories, destroying doctors and scientists, destroying journalists and their ability to communicate with the general public, as the federal government fully set its teeth on satire websites, comedy, and political speech in this country. All of this as the FBI now denies that any of this happened, calling it a conspiracy theory, even though there's direct evidence of them interfering, not only in our elections, but in our everyday lives. Valid information, scientific studies, medical professionals, scholars, thinkers, people who dared to question the government were all hit and either demonetized, downranked in the algorithm, or just totally deleted from entire platforms, and with such stringent control of speech, the American government has essentially been ousted as just another form of Chinese totalitarian takeover of political speech in this country. All of this as still many elements of the corporate media fail to report on the larger bombshells of these Twitter files that are absolutely huge. And when it comes to the federal government deciding what people could think, what they could talk about, these are draconian Orwellian powers that absolutely do need to be addressed, do need to be fixed. But the corporate media, other big tech social media companies, and of course the politicians that abuse the power that they have given themselves arbitrarily are very slow to act against the mounting pressure that a lot of people are demanding when it comes to correcting this huge issue that we only know about because Elon Musk spent billions of his own money and is finally allowing us to see what's been happening behind closed doors. This, as of course, we still wait many more Twitter files to come out, especially when it comes to our top 4 most censored story of 2022. And that, of course, is that Dr. Fauci lied to Congress. Now, normally when you lie to Congress, that is something that is illegal. People like Roger Stone had their homes raided by the FBI in the middle of the night because he was accused of lying to Congress. Dr. Fauci in 2022 was caught lying to Congress. This, as of course he was asked many times publicly by U.S. Senator Rand Paul, did he conduct gain-of-function work in Wuhan, China, which Dr. Fauci responded to, no, he lied to everyone. As of course, there should be more of a controversy surrounding this. There should be a lot more investigations. This, as of course, Barack Obama, the former president of the United States, stopped gain-of-function work. As of course, he said that it was too dangerous and there was a too big of possibility of this kind of research leading to some kind of virus being released on the world. And then U.S. President Donald Trump became president of the United States, and for some reason, he approved Dr. Fauci's request to continue the gain-of-function work, which then promptly allowed Dr. Fauci with EcoHealth Alliance and Peter Daszak, which people allege is connected to the CIA, to do their work at the Wuhan Institute of Virology at the beginning of Trump's presidency, which we all know how that kind of ended up here. And in 2022, Dr. Fauci is on record lying to Congress. All of this as the corporate media still does his bidding. And at Twitter, there was even staff members that had their own Fauci fan club. So that's why Dr. Fauci lying to us is number 4 on our list, with even Elon Musk coming out recently and calling for his prosecution, which should happen. If we're going to be respecting the law, we should be implementing it equally. We're not. We're only punishing people because they believe in certain political ideas that the establishment doesn't like, censoring them, and of course throwing them into the digital gulags. That, of course, is probably going to be made a lot worse unless we, the people, stand up and make our voices loud, demanding, of course, accountability, transparency, and the government to do the right thing here. Now, what's on number top 3, 2, and 1 when it comes to the top censored stories of 2022? Well, I probably can't, I can't tell you them because YouTube would take them down. So we're going to continue this broadcast. Yes, I'm actually doing this on LukeUncensored.com. Now, don't worry, I'm going to give you a preview of what we're going to be talking about here, not just to bait you too much here, but again, this is our platform that, by the way, PayPal is deleting. We have moved to an alternative, but we are under attack. PayPal is absolutely screwing us over. We had a members area for many years now. And PayPal has just announced that in the coming days, they will be deleting all of our members. Again, we had an alternative set up a couple months ago, but we still have a lot of people a part of our members area, a part of our forum that, of course, are still using PayPal. If you're still using PayPal, one, they're a horrible corporation that does very awful things. You should switch over. We've been telling people to switch over for a very long time, but we still have a lot of members on PayPal. So if you are one of those members, please switch over to Stripe. We're going to be doing a special video talking about number 3, number 2, and number 1. I'm going to tell you what they are in very vague terms because I can't talk about them in great detail here on this broadcast because, again, we're living in a day and age where people get censored. Do you think the Twitter files are bad? Imagine what the Alphabet, Google, and YouTube files are going to be. You can't even imagine. This is one reason out of many reasons we started our own platform. You could support us on our platform by just signing up. We have an alternative way of signing up. We're going to have a second alternative way of signing up. And with signing up, you also get 3 master classes, you get a forum. We're going to be doing an AMA in just a few days from now. You also get exclusive merchandise at cost, only available to members of LukeUncensored.com. But more importantly, you get to meet all the other members of this platform, and you get information customized towards helping you dealing with the upcoming nonsense coming our way. Now, not to be a total jerk, let me, in very vague terms, explain to you number 3, 2, and 1, which, of course, I'm going to be explaining and doing a full video on right now on LukeUncensored.com. Number 3 is related to an incident that happened in Texas with police officers standing down. Number 2 is related to an international trafficking and extortion operation of small children that we still don't have the client list of. And number 1 is a product that, of course, many governments and multinational corporations and powerful people tried to force on you. Not working as many people expected. You get the drift of what I'm trying to say here. I'm going to be expanding on that, talking about that, plus a lot more on LukeUncensored.com. See you there right after this broadcast. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys signing up and sharing this video, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. Also, do you think I missed a story? Let me know which ones you think are the most censored stories of 2022 down in the description below. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more.